Waiting music. Okay, we ready?
About 10 seconds.
Okay. Tell me when.
Ready whenever you are.
Hey, everybody, I need you to dance with me. Come on. I don't like to dance alone. I don't drink alone either. Look at Eddie go. One, wow.
Welcome to the creativity show. Alive hour.
Yes.
Let it flow.
Let it flow.
Unscripted words.
Unscripted.
In a velvet ring.
Velvet ring.
Savvy minds on the
Savvy
line
minds.
they bring.
All of you.
Producer and host in the glow.
I'm in the glow. AKA Radio Red.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Tell me what it is that sparks your
What sparks your fire?
keeps you moving
Higher and higher.
The creativity show.
Oh, there we go. Happy to be here. It's Monday. Where else would I be? I'm AKA Radio Red. I have three wonderfully interesting people. They happen to all be authors, as far as I know, and they came to me through the National Publicity Summit. I met them a couple months ago, and I'm just delighted to have them here. So I'm going to lower my hand so I can go back to the right-hand corner, and now I see myself. Before I introduce my guests, I have to tell you all a big announcement. This is really important, Bob and Ron and Eddie. I have to tell you that it's June 8th. It's the 159th day of the 2026 Gregorian calendar. And Bob, we used to have the Julian calendar, and if you were born in early October, you didn't get a birthday because Julian just skipped the beginning. And then Gregorian came along, Ron, and he said to his mom, I'm going to be a pope, but I'm also going to create a new calendar. And somebody named Red is going to talk about me hundreds of years from now wirelessly. And she's going to say I'm brilliant because I created the leap year thing. And October gets their birthdays back. It's a couple of interesting celebrity birthdays today. Bonnie Tyler, total eclipse of the heart. She's 75. Can you believe it? And Griffin Dunn, the actor, American Werewolf in London, he's 71. Today, in memoriam, Joan Rivers was born today in 1933. We all know Joan Rivers, the comedian, and Jerry Stiller, Ben Stiller's dad. Remember, he was Stiller in Mira with his wife Ann Mira, and he was Frank Costanza on Seinfeld. Yes, I have to tell Ron, this is very important for you. It's Jelly-filled Donut Day, Ron. And Eddie, it's Sustainable Seafood Day. And Bob, this is for you. It's Best Friends and Business Etiquette Day. And on that note, I'm done with all of those. So welcome to everybody. I love the Ron is here for the creativity. I think I'm going to score very well with you today, Ron. So here we go. Welcome to the Creativity Show, where real life stories alight. AKA Radio Red and her Scarlet Mic is streaming live and trying to be bright. The inspirations of creativity are our feature today, where resilience, muses, and reinvention are lighting the way. Wave when I call your name. Eddie Matsumoto, there she is. Ron Dushkin, MD, wave hello. And Bob Patterson, wave hello. They're all here. Creative voices sharing journeys real and clear. Hear how creativity has inspired them anew with their passion and reflection on life shining through. And now here's my gift to each of you, and Eddie, you're first. Raised in Japan, where creativity and curiosity intertwined, Eddie grew surrounded by culture, her great-granddad's art, and an open mind. Inspired by stories of distant lands and people living far away, she chose anthropology and travel to understand the human way. From Southeast Asia's villages to service grounded deep in care, Mother Teresa's deeds stirred compassion that Eddie would share. After moving to the U.S., nursing became Eddie's healing heart. For nearly 30 years, she cared for patients with her heart. Then creativity called again through paintbrush, canvas, and sea life delight. Eddie discovered new ways to heal through laughter, wonder, and light. Now her joyful otter therapy helps weary spirits mend as her smile, a little whimsy, and creativity become a refreshing blend. Welcome, Eddie. I hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you so much. That really encapsulated my 60 years of my life. So thank you.
You're welcome. That's why I ask for an origin story instead of a CV or a media bio, because I want to know who you are. And now, Ron, you're next. Ready, Ron?
Yes.
Are you sure? Okay, I don't want to, I don't want to surprise you here. Okay, raised in Clifton, New Jersey, as the oldest son with goals set high, Ron excelled in academics and athletics, reaching for the sky. With history, math, and competition helping shape his early days, he imagined law school in his future and success along those ways. Accepted to George Washington Law, his plans were firmly in place, but life gave Ron a new journey at an unexpected space. A medical discharge from Army training changed his course ahead. Then a physician researcher inspired new possibilities for Ron instead. From medicine to holistic health and stress management's caring art, Ron discovered healing can begin within the mind and the heart. Now a traveler, storyteller, karaoke singer sharing wisdom from his years, he shows life's best opportunities can surprise as detours shift our gears. Ron?
Well done. I'm impressed.
Do you know that person I'm talking about?
I've heard of him.
I have guests say, who's she talking about? And now it's Bob's turn. Raised in Flushing, Queens. I was raised in Queens, other part of Queens. Raised in Flushing, Queens, where hard work shaped early days. Bob loved math, history, and stickball in countless neighborhood plays. Inspired by Yankees baseball and John Glenn reaching for the sky, Bob never let his fascination with exploration pass him by. From college studies to a career where technology took hold, satellite communications became his world and future visions bold. Bob's work spanned 6 continents from jungle paths to Arctic snow, witnessing history in the making wherever innovation chose to go. After decades on the broadcast front connecting our world anew, Bob documented that record, sharing stories only insiders knew. His memoir on satellite broadcast history through 5 decades proves curiosity and perseverance ensure a legacy never fades. Bob, welcome. I hope you enjoyed that.
Very, very well done. Thank you. Red.
Now I'll finish up and then the show's over. We're done. So gather around where the cool kids and the cool vibes sway. You've all got to sway right now as we've dived deep into creativity today. AKA Radio Red's energy lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. There you go. Ron, are you happy?
I am. And I would say that AKA Red has learned not to live in just her head.
Okay, we'll take it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I enjoy, well, the reason I'm able to do all of these, and I do have a collaborator, I'll tell you about her later, and we put these, I don't call them poems, I call them rhyming intro bios. The reason I ask for so many details from each of you is because I want to know who you are. I want to know where you started and what shaped you and molded you and how you got to be who you are today and why you're here. So that's why, and people say, oh, you want to know so much? And some people say, nobody's ever asked me for that. Thank you. It's nice to put together a real origin story. So I appreciate the 3 of you for sending me the details that help make up these interesting intros. Now, fun part. I'd like to know more about connecting the dots these are only 12 lines each. Okay, there's got to be a lot more. So Eddie, I'm putting you on speaker view. Would you just fill in some blanks and tell us a little more? And we want to know about otter therapy, seriously. So Eddie, welcome. Here you go. Talk to me.
Okay, otter therapy. So I transitioned from nurse practitioner to artist and gallery owner. And when I retired from hospital, I was able to paint. I got master's in fine art, but I was not selling any art. So I didn't have a niche. I wasn't known for anything. Oh, she can paint well, but I didn't have anything to sell. And then some wise artist told me, in this area, Monterey, Carmel area, if you want to sell art, it's going to be either landscape, seascape, or sea otters. And I said, I've done landscape and seascape, and yes, they do sell, but they're not my passion. So let me try sea otters. That was the beginning. And I painted swimming sea otters, and that was great. But then one sea otter researcher asked me to do this scream painting with the otter face. And I loved the idea. She loved the products. And I got this bright idea. No, this is my niche. I'm going to put otters in all masterpieces. Mona Lisa, Van Gogh, American Gothic, The Last Supper, and blah, blah, blah. So 80 others later. So I have celebrity others and famous others, seasonal others. So I have lots of others. And that was not only my enjoyment, but as soon as I opened my gallery in Carmel by the Sea, people laughing outside and coming into the gallery laughing, having a great time. And then also they told me they are healing. They reduce stress and they will kind of heal their loneliness at home when they take my otter home and put it on the wall. It seems to console people when they're lonely or depressed and stressed out, or even somebody after surgery. She said, your otters are helping ease my pain. So I did not know that. So that's how the otter therapy was born.
That is a lovely story, and I'm looking at your background. If you just move a little bit to your left, well, either way, I want to see. I see the
Okay.
scream, and
Yes.
I see the. Oh, what do you think, Ron and Bob?
And I
Interesting.
have a
Wow,
Mona
wow.
otter, and up
Mona.
there I have
That's
yeah,
the other.
that's
That's the other
Mona otter.
Mona.
Right, yeah. And then I have American Gothic,
Yes.
and then it's hard to see, but the Last Supper with 14 other characters.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
got cherubs, Clint Eastwood. I have Albert Einstein. I got Scream, of course, and Mariachi Otter. Yeah, Frida, and so on. Cherubs, angels.
Thank you. Come on
Yeah.
back up on the screen. I want to see your beautiful face. Any question? Did you run into any licensing to be able to do this? Were there any challenges? I'm just curious.
Not yet, but I do have a
Okay.
IP attorney. I consult on a regular basis,
Yeah.
especially when I published my book. She went page by page, line by line,
Mhm.
and gave me an okay. So I'm okay. Nobody has complained about it
Well, we're
yet.
not complaining. We're enjoying it very
Thank you.
much. We're
See
loving it
you.
actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is very, very unique. So appreciate it. Talk about creativity going in a direction that nobody has gone before and that it just hit you. It just sang to you really.
Right.
That's the beautiful part about creativity. Courage, curiosity, confidence, right? And just go for it. So thank you very much. Ron, you're up next. We'd love to know a little more about connecting your dots. So why don't you tell us? Welcome.
Sure. I have a friend, Bonnie, not beyond even you. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I have another friend named Bonnie who has done a lot of writing. She's been part of writing groups over the years and introduced me to this idea where you start with a one sentence prompt and then you write. So when I have a friend, Nick, who lives in Denver, and he's a retired holistic doctor like I am. I'm not retired, but a holistic doctor like I am. And he sent me a book of his poetry. And I was so struck by it. And this was right when the pandemic started. So I raised the idea, Nick, why don't we do some writing together? So for 5.5 years, once a week, we would block out time and we would write together. We each write 2 stories each time. So I have hundreds of stories that I wrote as a way of expressing creativity. You start with something and then you just kind of go where it goes. Absolutely no idea, no limits, no boundaries, no known. You just go. And it's been an incredible expression of an internal journey. Many people have different aspects to creativity. Clearly, Eddie is a visual and artistic in that way. But I've come to say that artistic and creative is not limited to just the visual arts. There's also words and language. And that's been my area of creativity. And I've written some incredibly beautiful short stories. I'll give you a synopsis of one of them. Is the guy is walking on West 92nd Street on his way to Central Park West. And he notices this young girl jumping rope. And he stops and he's really truly amazed at how well she's doing. And he comments on it. And she doesn't say anything. And her mother's sitting on the stoop saying, say thank you to the man. And she shyly says, and the mother says, I apologize for her shyness, but she's blind. But she just jumps rope. And the character in the story says, can you tell me what you see? And she said, no one ever asked me. And she goes on to describe what it is she sees when she's jumping rope. And the character in my story said, well, I work with blind people. Would you come and help them explain what it is they see while we're watching them?
Ron, I'm about to cry.
Oh, don't hold back. It's okay.
That was lovely. That was absolutely lovely. Where are your stories? Is there remind me, are there a collection of them? Where can we find your stories?
If you come to my house, I can show them all to you.
I'm not in New York anymore, kid. I don't make that trip anymore.
I
No,
understand. They're not published. They're not published. They're just things that Nick and I just collected. And that was just one example.
that's
of,
lovely. Do you write the same story together? Like you write a paragraph and he writes, or do you
No,
write
no,
separate?
no. We start with one sentence, and then we both go off to our corners,
Okay.
and we come back.
I belong to a writers group called Writers Digest, and we get a poetry prompt every Wednesday morning, 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm not up quite that early, from Robert Lee Brewer, who is a senior editor at Writers Digest. And poets, there must be 20, 30, 40 of us. I'm assuming most of us are based in North America. The English is pretty good from all of them. So, but we write our poetry in there were 125 different formats of poetry. I love acrostics. I love nonettes, and known as a disappearing nine, where you start with nine syllables on the first line, and then it's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I write conversation, texting conversations where it's one word per line, two people talking to each other, and it ends up with drink, yes, Zoom now, where the person needs help. They're getting engaged and they don't want to get married. Anyway, I have a poem I'm going to dedicate to all of you at the end of the show today, but the prompt is key, Ron, and every April and November, we get a prompt every single day, and I write 3 to 5 poems every day during April for 3 years. So I have about 900 poems, and
That's
I
so
haven't.
wonderful.
It feels so good.
It does, doesn't it?
And
you
I'm
have
the
no-
class clown. I write the funny poems. Everybody's writing serious stuff, politics and death, the disease. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Nick and I got into some weird, funny stuff.
I bet. I'd love to get together with you somehow and share some poetry and some writing. I would love that. So
That sounds
thank you.
great.
Thank you very much. I'm not coming to Queens. Bob Patterson, you're up. Let's hear from you. I want to know about satellite communications and what you're doing and how it took 50 years to write your book. I remember that. Bob, talk to me. Tell us more, please, and welcome.
Thank you, Red. While growing up in Queens during the 50s and the 60s, I had two passions. One was sports, and the other one was to follow the astronauts. And that was a very, very exciting time. And I had the fortunate privilege of being hired by a company that actually built the satellites for the Apollo 11 mission. And when I was hired with a subsidiary of Hughes Aircraft. And Hughes Aircraft actually built the satellites that retransmitted those signals around the world. And that's where I began my career. And I knew at that time that satellites would change everything. Up until that time, working for Hughes Sports Network, I was delivering all of the satellite, well, I was actually doing it by terrestrial facilities for sports, for baseball, basketball, and hockey. And when the satellite came into play, I knew that was going to change everything. And as a result, how it would be delivered to the TV stations around the country. And watching that event, I just was in awe. I just couldn't believe it. And for those who watched it, might have remembered that the pictures were very grainy and it was very difficult to see. And they would put the signal in such a way that they would put live via satellite to tell the people that this is coming from another area, not only a continent, but on a different outside of space. And as a result, everybody was excited. They didn't care if they were able to see the picture or not. They knew this was very special and this was history making. And that event actually was the first time that the world saw live television, history being made via satellite. And from there, I had a career that spanned over 5 decades. And I had the privilege of doing the very first baseball, basketball, and hockey telecast via domestic satellite in 1975. And then I worked for other companies. And then in 1987, I started my own company, which was called Space Connection. And I continued in the field and then also delivered the first HD TV transmission, which got the attention of Congress. And they finally decided that they wanted to compete with the Japanese. And instead of going analog, which was during those days, it went digital. And then that changed us into the digital world that we are in today with streaming and internet, which satellites are now still delivering, especially with Elon Musk with his low orbit satellites, that you're able to get transmission anywhere in the world. So this changed the way America, world, and everybody to be interconnected. So it was a earth-shattering moment of the Apollo 11 that brought us to today.
And here you,
Can I ask Bob a question?
Sure,
sure.
You wrote a book documenting your experiences, right?
it's behind
true.
him. Iconic moments. It's sitting right behind him on his table there. Can you pick up the cover of that book, please, Bob, for us?
Sure.
Can you show it to us? Yeah, hold it
Yeah.
up. Iconic moments in broadcast history. Thank you. Live via satellite. Quite a history. Is it still exciting for you seeing where it's going without getting into politics? But is
Oh,
it still exciting, Bob?
It's extremely exciting. And let me explain why it's so
Yeah,
exciting to
go
me.
ahead.
I hope America rekindles this interest into the astronauts. And the fact that we just gone back to the moon and we'll be going back and landing on it in 2028 has me all excited all over again.
Good, good. I'm glad. Quite an interesting history. What I find interesting about my panels, and the three of you are testaments to this, is that I don't put people together who've done the same thing. Okay, Eddie, let's put you together with two other artists. Okay, Ron, let's put you together with two other doctors who are going to be lawyers, and Bob, let's put you together with two communications people. This is mix and match. That's what's so fascinating to me. And Ron said to me, I want to see how everybody else is creative. Well, here we are, kids. And I'll give you a little bit of my creativity. You'll never guess what I started out in life as. Well, my first career, I was a mainframe computer programmer on a Xerox Sigma 6 CP5 coding in COBOL, key punching 2,000 lines of code that I hand wrote over the weekend and getting it up in production on cards on Monday by noon. Bob, are you impressed?
I am very much so.
Yeah,
I
me
would have
too.
guessed. I would have guessed.
How
that you
long
were a
ago was
juggler.
that?
I'm not telling you. Well, go ahead, Ron.
I would have guessed that you would start off as a juggler in a circus.
Well, I was doing a lot of juggling. Then I graduated to an IBM 4341 coding in PL1, and we actually had a keyboard for entering our code on a typewriter, on a keyboard. So we didn't have to carry a box of. But one of my favorite stories is when I was doing the boxes one night, the phone rang at 3:45 in the morning, and the operator said, well, my name is Bonnie. He said, Bonnie, we had an add-in to card number 745. What do you want to do? The production had to run overnight. These were statewide reports for the community college education system of the state of Oregon, where I was living. And I said, okay, John, let's say his name was John. I said, give me a second here. I'm sitting in the dark at the edge of the bed. I said, go back three codes, 3 lines, and I want you to put a 0 in for job control, a 0 in, and I want you to run it again from that point where the add-in was. That's where it stops. And I will sit here in the dark with my eyes closed on the edge of the bed for 5 minutes. If you call me back, I'll know there's a problem and I'll figure something else out. He didn't call me back. It ran.
Wow.
We knew our code, Bob and Ron and Eddie. We knew, you knew your program, you knew your structure, you knew where it was going. All he had to do was read a couple of lines to me and I knew exactly where it was and it solved it. That to me was creativity. And people say, oh, in order to be a programmer, you need to do math and you need to know logic and all. No, you don't. You need to know, here's a blank piece of paper. I'm going to put something on it and I'm going to make that blank piece of paper turn into that report that's going to make everybody happy. And you create from point A to point B. And that was the magic of being a programmer. And so much for low code, no code today. It was thrilling. It was absolutely thrilling. I'll tell you that. So that's a little bit of, and Ron, I have done stand-up comedy. I had my own troupe years ago, and I just want you to know. So this is something in there. And I'm an artist too. Okay, let's move on. This show is, I was having kind of a quiet, not very happy day. And the three of you have already completely cheered me up and lifted my mood. And I appreciate that. Show's over. Oh, I said that already. Okay, let's go on. We're briefly going to do the opening quotes. I've asked each of you to send me a quote from a fictional character in a movie or a TV show or a song lyric, and you're going to relate related to your own creativity. Keep it to about 2 minutes, and then we're going to go to our roundtable with the creativity statements and have a good time, and Ron will be even happier. So Eddie is quoting Vivian Ward, played by Julia Roberts, Pretty Woman, 1990 romantic comedy film, directed by Gary Marshall, Richard Gere, Julia Roberts, Hector Elizondo, Ralph Bellamy, his final performance, Laura San Giacomo, and Jason Alexander. I forgot he was in there. Let's just leave it. She's a Hollywood escort for hire, and he's a businessman, and she's there for meetings and everything else or whatever for a week, and they fall in love. Okay, so here is the quote, Eddie, and you're going to have to explain how this relates to your curiosity. Big mistake. Big, huge. I have to go shopping now. Okay, Eddie, I'm putting you back on speaker view. What does this have to do with what you do? Talk to me.
Okay, so this is a line when she goes back to the high-end boutique on the Hollywood Rodeo Drive or something. So the first day she goes in, they treat her really, really badly because she looks like a prostitute, escort. And then the next day she goes in with a huge shopping bags, and then big mistake, huge. And I have to go shopping now with so many shopping bags that she bought all kinds of clothes. So what relates is, so the similar thing happened, not like that. In my case, I was working for a hospital, had a great job, but I cut back to do more art. So I cut back from full-time to part-time, and the hospital has been asking me to go back to full-time. And I said, no, I'm enjoying my art, so I'm not going to go back to art. And one day, the hospital gave me an ultimatum. You have to go back to full-time, or I'm going to eliminate your position. So I said, well, that's interesting. If you're going to put it that way, I think I'm going to resign. Thank you very much. So so I did, and it was a struggle, but I learned business and art and marketing and sales, and now I have a thriving art gallery. And so I'm fantasizing. One day I'm gonna run into my ex-boss. I'm gonna say, big mistake, huge. So look at my gallery now. So I'm so successful. But it was amusing and also fired me up. I'm going to have to, really grow up to be successful. So it was kind of something encouraging me to tell myself, someday I'm going to tell this guy. And it did happen a little while ago, and he happened to be standing in front of my gallery. And and then I went up to him like, hi, how are you doing? So I did not say that. But I said, well, thank you.
We were waiting. Eddie, that has to be one of the best of the thousands of shows I've done. One of the best selection of a quote to the person's creativity. Very, very well done. I don't have my applause track handy, but I would play it for you. That was just lovely. I'm going to move on to Ron. Ron has picked a quote from Bob Dylan's 1965 song, Mr. Tambourine Man, written by Bob Dylan, the first track of the acoustic side of his March 1965 album, Bringing It All Back Home. The song's popularity led Bob Dylan to record it live many times and included it on many compilation albums. It's been translated and used in TV shows, films, and books. There we go. That's enough. And it's been recorded and performed by the Byrds, Judy Collins, Melanie, Odetta, Alvin and the Chipmunks, and Stevie Wonder and others. Okay, here's the line. Ron, you're going to relate this to your creativity. To dance beneath the diamond sky with one hand waving free. Ron, what does this mean to you?
It means there's no limits. You can create any visual in your mind outside of yourself. Who knows what's possible? Whatever, just because it hasn't been said or done or envisioned, doesn't mean that it can't be. That's what happens when I write. It's never been done before. I don't even know what's showing up. And somehow magic happens by opening the door, by saying, yes, I want to do this, and allowing it to happen, not even creating it. I think a lot of Dylan stuff, he didn't personally, as a human being, create. It happened through him. And he's somehow, he's so hard to understand, but he's alluded to that also, that the magic that happened in the 60s was magic.
He was channeled. Is that another word for what it went through him, right?
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah. I wrote a couple of romantic comedy plays about 8 years ago, and I did it in 3 nights. The first one in 3 nights from 1 to 4 in the morning. And then I produced it in my TV studio on Long Island, Great Neck. And I got 3 community actors to do it. And I said, you don't have to learn lines. We'll put a teleprompter in front of each of you. And I have the Vimeo. We recorded it and got it down to 26 minutes. I'll be glad to send it to you. But my point was the characters told me who they were, what they looked like, what they sounded like, what they ate, how they laughed, what their histories were. And they just channeled me. And that's why I was able to write that much dialogue for 3 characters in 3 nights without even thinking about it. They told me who they were and what they were doing. Interesting?
Can I take another minute?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So many years ago, I saw this short movie in the Lower East Side. I don't remember the name of the movie, whatever it was. But the storyline was this older Jewish woman from Brooklyn was getting an award for something, for some of her writing. And they're sitting in a diner, and this reporter is there to interview her, and he gets up to go to the bathroom. The rest of the movie is what she makes up about him. And I thought, isn't that what we do? We make things up, and that becomes our reality. Doesn't matter whether it's true or not. We made it up, and that's how we live.
That's
And that
it.
was like a great reminder about how to let things happen.
There you go. I thought you were going to do the diner scene from When Harry Met Sally, but that's another story. Bob Patterson has picked a very serious quote from Rocky Balboa, played by who else? Sylvester Stallone, speaking to his son, Robert Balboa Jr., played by Milo Ventimiglia. Rocky Balboa, 2006 film. Rocky, ring name, the Italian Stallion, fictional title character of the Rocky films. And Sylvester Stallone has portrayed him in all 8 films. He's retired. He's running a Philadelphia restaurant. He mourned the loss of his beloved wife, Adrian, on and on and on. Let's go to the quote. This is a long one. You, me, or nobody's going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Okay, Bob, putting you back on speaker view. What does this have to do with you? All I hear is that you've been winning all along. So tell us.
Well, thank you. As you know, sports has been part of my life. And during my career, I had the privilege of meeting some of the greatest legends of all time. The Yankee Clipper, Joe DiMaggio, the greatest, Muhammad Ali, and the King, Arnold Palmer. But the most important lesson I ever learned about life came from another sports legend. It was my graduation day at Franklin Pierce College. And that morning, I found myself seated across a man who had faced more adversity than anyone else that I have known. Yet he carried himself with dignity and grace. During the conversation, he looked at me and said, "You can do everything right and still not be good enough. Life can be unfair." Red, it wasn't so much the words. It was his eyes. The man sitting across from me was Jackie Robinson.
Oh,
For me personally, my career was anything but smooth. And years later, I would come to understand exactly what he meant. On my 40th birthday, literally July 17th, 1986, it was my 40th birthday, and I found myself standing on the unemployment line. The next 11 months brought financial insecurity and serious medical crisis within my immediate family. By June 2nd, 1987, I was down to my last $600 when I founded Space Connection. 20 years later, Space Connection became the leading reseller of satellite services in the United States when I sold the company. So I always remember what Jackie told me. Life isn't always fair. But as far as the quote, when you get knocked down, one thing you have to do is get back up and keep on fighting. And that's what I relate with Rocky on his quote.
that was beautiful. The 3 of you are very special, by the way. There's an energy here. There's a vibe that I'm getting of. It's just delightful. Thank you. Eddie's feeling it. I think she's feeling it too. Ron, are you feeling it? Are you feeling it?
For
Yeah.
sure.
You know something? I'm doing battle with some, not with any of you, but with a PR agency that sends me authors for this show. They're mostly fiction. And they say people are complaining about what I ask them for. They're complaining about origin story. They're complaining about having to come up with a quote. They're complaining about creative. They just want to send a media pitch bio, what you do on your one sheet. And like one and done. Okay, yeah, just talk to me, ask me a couple of questions and all that. And I say, no, that's not what I do. I want to hear who you really are. And you can tell me in a 3-minute soundbite, Bob and Eddie and Ron, you can tell me in 3 minutes during the show, peppered along this landscape we're creating here. You can tell me who you are, and I can learn about you without having to be a 1-hour interview. Sorry, but that's why I like the magic of the roundtable, because you get to crystallize bits and pieces of who you are and why you're here. And that to me is exciting. And we share that. We didn't know this about each other. But that's why I ask for so many different things in my deliverables. And people are complaining. And the answer is, well, you don't get to be part of the special roundtable. Right? You're going to miss out on the party. There you go. I'm in quite a mood today anyway. So let's go on. That was great. Your quotes were really, really outstanding. Thank you. And the way you related them, beautiful. Okay, Eddie, I'm going to read your creativity statement number 1. You don't have to find it. I'll read it. And I would like you to unpack it for a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to ask Bob and Ron, both of you, if this resonates with you. And you're welcome to say no. But here we go. Eddie says, I'm quoting Eddie Matsumoto, most of my great ideas and solutions, now the word great is important, most of my great ideas and solutions to challenges come first thing in the morning when I wake up and I stay in bed in the alpha state. Okay. Eddie, unpack this and we're going to see what Ron and Bob have to say if we have a common thread here. We don't have to, but maybe we do. Eddie, what does this mean?
Yes, I've done a lot of self-help, different courses, and I learned about the brain waves, and I just resonate with that. So first thing in the morning, I kind of stay in bed, and I just kind of stay in this kind of really cozy, warm, fuzzy feelings. And it just kind of started naturally. I just looking back, I didn't know about alpha state or anything like that, but a lot of good ideas just pop up in my head. I'm not asking any questions or anything, just some solution come up. Oh, that's what I'm going to do today. Oh, that was a solution. Oh, that's the new others I'm going to do. So lots of things comes up, and so I'm just going to work on that day. So I don't have to kind of look for solution on certain things. And just out of nowhere, there's something pops up. And so I try to do meditation and all that too, and then listen to alpha brainwave binaural beats during the day. But just the first thing in the morning, usually get up about 5, 4:15 is sort of the magic time. I just kind of wake up and I can stay until about 5 or so. And then that's the time just things kind of happen and magical moments. I just, it's a delicious moment. So I just stay. That's my creative moment.
Delicious creative moments. I love that. Bob is nodding. Ron isn't so sure. Ron, let's go to you first. What do you think? Do you get up at 4:15 in the morning? Will we find you awake? Is the light on?
Not intentionally.
Hello. Go ahead.
In a similar way, when I have a gratitude meditation that I do in bed at night, and often afterwards, things will just open. Ideas will come to me for something I'm working on, or an insight about a patient that I'm working with that I need to address with them, or just an idea, or I will start to write short stories without any expectation about where it's going. So I definitely relate to Eddie's idea about being in this place that's not willfully thoughtful. It's allowing the non-contrived thoughts to work, and allowing it to happen, not trying to fit it into a box or trying to make it something that it's not. Just allow it to happen.
That was beautifully put. Bob, what do you think? Do you wake up at 4:15 and the light goes on in your brain, or what do you think?
No, I try not to wake up at 4:15. I guess that's a person who has a creative mind. So I have to just tell you that She's amazing. I mean, I enjoyed her artwork. It's beautiful. You have to be creative. And I love the idea that she just lies in bed and thinks about all these wonderful ideas. So I give her all the credit in the world.
Well, what time is there a time of the day when ideas come to you, Bob? Because you've had so many great ideas. You started your company, you were down to nothing. Something must have just popped up in your mind. Was there a day or a time that you could crystallize when that happened? Was there an epiphany?
No, it was a little different for me. I happen to have the privilege of being one of the early pioneers in the satellite communications. So I was more of staying on board of what's happening. And I have this uncanny ability to figure out what's going to happen in the years coming up. And having the knowledge of satellite, I was actually able to focus 3 years ahead of myself. And many of these events that I did, such as the very first transmission of baseball, basketball, and hockey, as well as HDT, was anywhere from 6 to 8 years before other companies started doing it. So I had the privilege of having the knowledge and using it and used it to go forward.
I have a question for Bob, though.
Go ahead.
Having the knowledge doesn't necessarily translate into vision, because it sounds to me, I don't hear you using the word creativity, so I'm going to offer the word vision as a substitute for that. So it sounds to me like you were able to see possibilities before they manifested. Would that be accurate?
Ron, you're right on. You're spot on when you say had the vision or innovation of doing it. If I can quickly tell you a story, which is a funny little story. I had to go up to Alaska. This was 1978, and I was trying to convince the Alaskan legislators to bring in satellite transmissions. And one of the legislators was from Nome, Alaska, as far north as you can possibly do. Here I am trying to convince him that you need live television transmission to help have your children to watch entertainment, do medical services, also education. And he was an Eskimo, and he said, ugh, no Mary Tyler Moore, fish hunt, fish hunt. And as a result, I finally realized what communications really was. It's not trying to sell transmission time or gigabytes or any kind of frequencies, is actually understanding the people, what they need.
Yes, it's the culture and the needs at the time, right?
Exactly. And then about six years later, HBO finally started doing digital television and was able to multicast and put several transmissions on one transponder. So as a result, it eventually took its place, but I was a little bit ahead of my time.
Well, I think you were a lot ahead of your time. Thank you. Let me go to Ron. You're next, your creativity statement. This is a little different, and I'm not sure how Bob and Eddie will relate to it, but I think they'll find a way.
I hope I can relate to it.
You sent it to me, so let's see if you remember what you wrote. Here's number 3. After seeing a patient, I create a healing picture of them by holding in my mind the vision of someone moving into better balance and better well-being. There's that vision word again. Ron, can you unpack this briefly, and we'll see if Eddie and Bob, I think they might resonate with this. Go ahead, Ron.
Sure. My belief is that inside of every person is an incredibly vibrant, healthy being. And for different reasons, stuff gets in the way. Psychological, emotional trauma, all kinds of things that happen. However, we tend to identify ourselves with where we are. And I tend to visualize where someone can be. And I know that patients have told me that they feel that I'm seeing them bigger than how they're seeing themselves, and that helps them on their healing journey. It also helps me when I'm feeling stuck to remember that I am bigger than just what I'm thinking about.
I like that. I'm bigger than what I'm thinking about. That's iconic. You wanna copyright that one, Ron? That's a good one.
Sure. If you suggest it, sure.
I'll work with you on it. Eddie, what do you think about visualizing something? What do you think of what Ron said? Does this hit with you?
Well, if you remember, I am also a healthcare professional, and I took care of patients for 30 years. And it's kind of a I have two paintings in my gallery. One of my husband kind of holding his head. That's a reality of healthcare. A lot of pressure, a lot of productivities and computer work. So he's kind of holding his head like, I know this is not working. And my self-portrait is sort of holding light towards the patient. So it's not about computer. It's not about procedure, medication. It's about, what I'm trying to do as a healthcare provider is healing. Provide love, empathy, light, and hope. So that's how I depicted myself holding light towards the patient. And I'm also kind of holistic practitioner. So I practice Reiki, therapeutic touch, you name it. I've done all those things. So I do visualize, lots of energy work. So I totally 100% agree with Ron, and I'll just visualize, the holistic, the healing,
Thank
of
you.
themselves.
Interesting. See how we're such an eclectic group, and we're finding threads. We're finding commonality, things that are. Bob, briefly, anything you want to? I know you have a lot of stories, but I got to move on. So, and I love your stories. Please know that. Anything of what Eddie and Ron said resonate with you in terms of vision? That's the word that Ron used for you. What do you
Very,
think?
very much. I connected very closely with what Ron just said. I think Ron is a visionary. I mean, he's able to take information and apply it and actually come up with what he believes as the reason. So I think he's very visionary, and as well as that, her artwork is incredible and has been creative. You got two of the best creative people I've heard so far.
Well, come on. You are too, kids. So let's get with the program here. Okay, I'm going to move on. Thank you, Ron. I'm going to move on to your creativity statement number 3, Bob. You didn't really give me what I was looking for because you talked about your book and 50 years of experience and all that, but I found a nugget in here in creativity statement number 3 that I'm going to talk about. You say, if I like something like playing sports or working in satellite broadcasting, and I'm going to add, or something else. Forgive me, I'm taking poetic license here. I will do whatever it takes to be the best. On the other hand, if there's something that doesn't interest me, I'm a lost cause. Let's talk about how that affects creativity. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's a little abstract, but Bob, go ahead, start it, and then we'll see what Ron and Eddie have to say.
Maybe I'm a little different from your two guests because they have creativity. I'm much more analytical. I look everything at straight on. And either I accept and love what I'm doing, or I cannot grab or understand what you're trying to tell me. And so I'm very analytical. And as a result, if I want to do something, I want to be the best. If I am not knowledgeable or don't have any interest, you could teach me all day and I will never understand it. So that's
Interesting. Let's go around the table and see. Ron, does this mean something to you? Because I know you're writing stories for the joy of it, for the vision of what's in your head, for these characters you come up with. But I don't hear, I have to be the best at this. You haven't even published a lot of these. So how does this relate? You don't have to agree with Bob, but it's a spark that we're going to explore. So Ron and then Eddie. Ron, what do you think?
Well, if I'm into helping people, which I am, then I want to do the best that I can to help
Okay.
that person. I want to comment, Bob, is that yes, you are definitely analytical. There's no question, and successfully analytical. I would encourage you not to miss that part of you that's also a visionary, which is not analytical, which sees something that hasn't yet been created. I don't know. Do you read science fiction at all?
no.
I love
Oh my, you could write science fiction, Bob Patterson, for God's
I
sake.
love science fiction. As a friend of mine said many years ago, it's really science future.
Yep.
And so it takes things from what we know. There's a series by this woman who's a PhD in physics. I'm trying to remember her name. And she's written this 18-volume series that I am now reading for the 3rd time because I love the way that she writes and the way she engages the reader in what she's doing. And she creates all these things out of who knows where. And so, Bob, I don't want to be critical of you. I just want to encourage you to own the part of you that is a visionary analyst.
But Bob is
Okay.
also very creative because he created these things based on his knowledge and his passion for Bob. You created a company out of nothing, kid. You took what are my raw materials? I got flour, I got butter, I got eggs, I got sugar. I think I'll make a cake today. And you made a company that just grew and grew and grew because you were going to create something with what you had to work with when you were almost down and
Right.
out. That's creativity,
Yeah.
Bob. We all vote, right? Ron and
Right.
Eddie. He's a
Absolutely.
creative. You are, Bob. Now, Eddie, what do you think about this, about being the best? Let's go around. We have a couple
Yeah,
more. We're almost out of
absolutely.
time. So go
Oh,
ahead. Almost out of
Okay,
time.
I think, best, or I want to put the word more like a joy. So he gets joy out of watching sports, playing sports, and then doing the satellite thing. So, when you find joy, he does the best. He does maximum joy. But if that doesn't give you joy, then, you don't do it. But so I think it's the same for me, for everybody, and then the follow the joy. That's my North Star. Whatever that gives me joy, I'll do it to the best, to the max. So I think that's what you're doing. And
Yes.
yeah, definitely, I vote for you being creative.
Bob, we have voted you into the creativity club, whether you like it or not, kid. You came here and said, I'm analytical. I'm not creative. Like hell, you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, like heck, excuse me. I don't want to embarrass anybody. Okay. So I would like to read a couple of quotes to you from some of my research that I do on every show. And I think you'll all enjoy this. And then I have a little poem to read for you. So, anybody ever heard of Anne of Green Gables, the 1908 novel by Canadian author Lucy Maud Montgomery? Well, chapter 19 had a very creative title. It was A Concert, a Catastrophe, and a Confession. If that isn't cool, tell me. But here's the line that I found that will, I think, apply to the three of you. Something just flashes into your mind, so exciting, and you must out with it. If you stop to think it over, you will spoil it all. Bob, yes?
Yeah,
Ron?
very much.
Ron too, yes?
Absolutely.
Hear it?
Yep.
And Eddie as well. Me too.
Totally.
Here's one from Rapunzel, the 2010 3D computer animated musical adventure fantasy comedy film. If they had any more genres, I think they'd not have room to stick them on. And this was voiced by Mandy Moore. It was Tangled, was the movie. And the line is, venture outside your comfort zone. The rewards are worth it. Uh-huh. And here's one more. You all know this one, the Rolling Stones, 1969. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you'll get what you need. And Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, played by Billy Burke in the original Wizard of Oz, 1939 fantasy film, said, you had the power all along, my dear. Yes, 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 yes. Ron, I've got my notes over your face, but I'm peeking to see whether you're reacting here.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I love
Good,
it.
good. Now I have here's one of my formats I like the best on my poems. This is from July 24th, which is a Wednesday, 2024. And the theme, the prompt we got was write a night shift poem. And I wrote an acrostic. So it's NIGHTSHIFT. Now, I'm not going to put it on the screen to show you, but I'll try to nod when I get to each letter. And I dedicate this to the three of you. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative. Going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing. Highs and lows flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights are the days again. Shifting off and on, into and out of gear. Hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster. Finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration, fears. Thus is the life of the creative. I dedicate that to the three of you. Ron, what'd you think?
I love it.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you. And I have another very funny acrostic that I wrote. I don't have the date on this. It must have been a couple years ago. This was write a blank like blank poem. That's what the moderator likes to do. He just throws sometimes blank this or, hello blank or whatever. So I did an acrostic with BLANK, LIKE, BLANK. And I captioned this as silly like me. And here we go. This is real fast. Believe in love always. Never kiss a leprechaun in a kayak. Every boat's like a nervous kangaroo.
Wait a second. Never kiss a leprechaun in a kayak?
That's it.
Oh,
Believe in love always.
I question that one. I question that one.
Believe in love always. There we go. Now we have to close out, but I want to do my closing, and I hope you can all stick around and talk to me after we go off the air for a couple minutes. I have some things I want to share with you. So in 2014, I closed my shows with the top 10 tips for women, and the one that I found very visionary, if I can use that word. We've been banding that word around. Was the first one because the movie I'm about to describe wasn't made yet until 10 years later, 2024. The first tip for women was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. Okay, there you go, kids. All right, now here's the real closing. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. Kiss slowly. Oh, yeah. Love truly. I haven't figured out how to forgive quickly yet. I'm still working on that one. Love truly. Laugh uncontrollably. Laugh with me, everybody. 1, 2, 3. I got Ron to laugh. Good. And never, ever, ever regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Work like you don't need the money. Right, Bob?
Right.
Dance like no one's watching. When I taught disco in a high school cafeteria near Eugene, Oregon, where I was living, and they made me dance on top of a Formica tabletop on a high school cafeteria in high heels, and I said to them, "You better build a wooden stage for me." We didn't know about OSHA in those days, but everybody watched. They thought I'd fall. What legs I had. I never fell. Dance like nobody's watching. They all watched. 175 people in the class. Sing like nobody's listening. I didn't sing tonight. And love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart regroup. Regrow, reinvent yourself to love again. It will come. Money talks, chocolate sings, la. There, that's the one thing I'm allowed to sing. And I stole this line from somebody. We're going to go out with some interesting music in a second here from one of my other shows. And thank you for turning me on. That's a line I stole from somebody else. Let's go with this. Okay, this is from my other show. Say what? Good news.
Good news.
Ron's all ready to dance, Bob. Oh, look at you, Eddie. Hey. Wait for the lyrics.
Good news.
Morning coffee in my cup. Make it decaf, please. I don't need any amp up here. I've had enough. Same old drama. Same old feed. Flip that dial. That's what I need. Turn it up. Let those bad vibes fade. Get rid of the headlines. Hit play. Hit play. Say what? Good news. We talk it out. We lift the mood. You lifted my mood. Good people. Doing what they do. Say what? Feel that smile coming through. Good news. This groove is for all of you. Wave goodbye. We're going to go off